Season's greetings, gastronauts. Yes, it's that time of year again, good old Christmas. And today I'm going to make a very simple Swedish dish, Gravlax or Gravadlax, which is just cured salmon, and it's wonderful. So something like Gravadlax has been around in Sweden since the 14th century, when fishermen struck on the idea of burying salmon, wrapped in cloth probably, and with some sugar, salt and sugar. I don't know exactly if those things were available at that time. Anyway, they buried the fish, it fermented, and it preserved it. I could be talking tosh. Anyway, this version doesn't involve burying anything, and it's very, very quick. If you enjoy this video, give it a like, share, subscribe, etc. And let's get on with it. Gravadlax. Ingredients: you need some salmon. I've got 450 grams there, and I'll tell you more about that later. You also need some brown sugar, demerara sugar. We'll probably have about 30 grams of that, and 30 grams of sea salt or kosher salt. Also a half teaspoon of ground black pepper, some ground coriander, about a teaspoon of that, maybe two. Optionally a splash of gin, or you could use vodka or aquavit, which is like schnapps, or nothing. It's completely optional. But I'm using gin, and I think if you use gin, then half teaspoon of juniper berries, crushed, would not go amiss. And also a small handful of dill. So the fish, basically, is going to be raw fish, but we are curing it to, make it safe to eat, except for one thing. Raw fish can contain a parasite called anisakis, I think. The way to get rid of that is to freeze the fish for a few days before you use it. So this comes from the supermarket, it has been previously frozen, so I'm not too worried about that. You also want to make sure there's no pin bones in there. And I think the fishmonger did a great job there. We'll also be making a mustard and dill sauce to go over this in a couple of days' time when it's ready. Okay, let's make the cure. So I want 30 grams of this Malden sea salt. Other brands are available. And 30 grams of sugar. Half teaspoon of black pepper. Juniper berries, crushed. 2 teaspoons of ground coriander seed. We need to finely chop the dill. Then we just run them over with a knife. And I'll mix that in with the seasoning and stuff. Now I've got a little roasting tin. Oh no, before I do that, I'll just drizzle some gin. Hang on. I'll end up using the whole bottle, which might spoil it. So just drizzle some of that on each fillet of salmon, and then put its skin up on the cling film and coat it with about a third of the cure mix. I'll turn it over. Oh, it's all fallen off. How convenient. Right, another third in the middle. We're going to make a sandwich basically, and the other one on top. And then the remaining cure. And wrap that tightly in cling film. And I'll wrap it again the other way, just make sure it doesn't leak. Pop it back in a tray, and then we want to figure out a way to weight it down. Okay, I've got this little cast iron skillet that I never use. I'll maybe put some can of tomatoes, maybe, if that'll fit in the fridge. That needs to go in the fridge for at least 24 hours, but 48 is better. So I think I'm actually going to manage 48 hours for this one. So see you in a couple of days. Okay, 2 days later. There it is, and there's quite a bit of liquid has come out of it, so I'll just unwrap it and scrape off the marinade. You could rinse it in the tap if you wanted to. Okay, there's our, is it Gravlax here? I guess it is. But I'm going to now put some black pepper and some fresh dill on the top. and then we want to slice it really thinly. The way this has been cut, that would be like the tail going down there. So you want to cut towards the tail, or where the tail would be, and you want a very sharp and slightly flexible knife. So this is a boning knife. Right, that wasn't really working because of the length and the profile of the fish. So I'm trying it this way. And you want to cut it as thinly as you can. You should be able to see the knife through the fish. Okay, I'm having a real hard time with this. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll put them in the freezer for about half an hour to get quite firm, and then have another shot. Hey ho. Meanwhile, bonus recipe, I'm going to make some vol au vent cases, because, you know, smoked salmon or gravlax with soft cheese is wonderful in a vol au vent. Okay, things you almost never hear me say: get some ready-made puff pastry. Oh yes, because, you know, it won't work with short crust, it won't work with hot water crust pastry, it's got to be puff. There's some flour on your worktop. And roll out the pastry. You might need a hydraulic press to do this, it's quite firm. Right, you'll need some rings, some cutters to cut your vol au vents out with, and ideally you would have 6cm for the outer and a smaller one, 4cm for the inner. What I've actually got is 8cm and 6, so they'll be quite large. But also, you can make them square and you don't need any kind of cutter for that. So I'll make 4 round ones, which means I need 8 discs, and then I cut the middle out of 4 of those with the smaller cutter. And keep that. Now we'll assemble the vol au vent. Use a bit of water to stick it on, don't press it down or you'll mess up the lamination. Now we want a baking sheet, dab of butter in each corner, and then some greaseproof paper, and use the butter to hold it down. Then I sprinkle it with some ground rice, or you could use coarse polenta or semolina, and that just properly stops them sticking. And then pop your vol au vent cases on. And while I was doing that, I had an idea about cutting out some smaller ones so I can use shot glass, and that'll give us a good sort of rim. It would if it had a sharper edge. Right, I've got an ancient square cutter, so I'm going to use that, and it's got straight edges or it's got wiggly edges, so I think I will use wiggly edges for a laugh. I can't think of anything small and square to cut an interior square out, so I'll have to use a knife. So what you want to do is cut into the corner from one direction, so that you get a nice neat cut there in the angle. And then just make sure the cut goes through the middle. Little square vol au vent cases. Now you need to heat your oven to 180 degrees Celsius for an air fryer oven, convection oven or fan oven. That's 200 for a conventional one, and that's gas 6. And we need some egg wash, which is a beaten egg with a splash of milk. And now we need to glaze all of the vol au vent cases, so just paint the egg wash inside and outside. I'm also going to bake these little discs that came out of the smaller cases, just in case we want to use them as a lid. And the other scraps, I'll just wrap them up and freeze them, and then in about 3 years' time I'll put them in the bin because I don't know what they are. Alright, we'll put those in the oven for 10 minutes and then have a look and see how they're getting on, and they might need a bit extra. 10 minutes is up. Wow. Those rose, and yeah, So as I suspected, the inside of the case, the round, well, all of them actually, has risen up as well, and we don't want that. Try and cut those out. Well, cut them out or just kind of press them down, and then maybe a little bit of extra egg wash, and then they can go back in for another 5 minutes. They look pretty good to me. So take them out, stick them on a wire rack to cool. Okay, this isn't going as well as I thought it would, but I've finished the first fillet, and I've got some decent slices, but they're thicker than they should be. That's not the end of the world, certainly not for me. It does seem to get easier to get bigger pieces as you get closer down to the skin. Okay, some time has passed, so I'm going to make the little mustard sauce. So we'll start with a tablespoon of sunflower oil. Nom nom. Tablespoon of cider vinegar. Tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Tablespoon of honey. And some dill. Mix it well, and that is it done. Very nice. So I don't think there's a lot you can do to really prettify these random slices of Gravadlax, but if you kind of just roll them up, it gives it a bit of visual interest, and serve it with the mustard sauce. So the rest of it, very simply, I'm going to mix it with the cream cheese and pop it in the vol au vents, and it'll be simple and wonderful. So just get some of your Gravlax and chop it fine. An equal amount of cream cheese, and mix them together. Now spoon it into your vol au vent cases. And you can decorate your vol au vents with the extra pastry disc if you want. Also some solid chunks of Gravlax and a bit more dill, because you can never have too much dill. Actually, I think you can. Okay, taste test. Oh wow. That sauce is wonderful. And so is the Gravlax. Let's try a vol au vent. Vol au vents used to be the height of sophistication back in the 70s. But then declined in popularity and you know, reached a level of naffness where you just wouldn't be seen dead eating one. But they're making a comeback, apparently, since COVID, don't know why, but yeah, wonderful things. Anyway, that's a fun little Christmas canapé kind of thing for you to do, and thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time.